Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. I hope everyone is doing well. And those of you who are on your hijrah journey, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing you closer to your goals and manifesting for you, Allah manifesting for you, um, the things that you're putting in place, your intentions, and providing you a way out of Dar al-Kufr. And today I actually wanted to talk about an affair that I've been delaying it for a while, you know, because it's heavy. But I'm gonna just I'm just gonna you know get into it. It's some topics that I have written previously in my hijra notes, different topics to cover, and they need time. You know what I mean? They need time to cover it, and I want to basically go into detail and make a lot of clarity, if that's possible, by the permission of Allah. And I'm not always in the mood to go and dive into these issues, but it's relevant to Hijra, it's relevant to Islam. These are things that face us on a daily, and especially the conscious person who ascribes to Salafiyah. It faces us. It's things that we are, I don't want to say bombarded, but it is things that we're bombarded with for those who keep up on the affairs of dawah. And sometimes fitna comes to you, even if you're not looking for it. If it's a fitna, then it's going to reach you. So basically the topic is refutations. And even though people don't like the topic of refutations, many people, especially the people of innovation, they don't like refutations. And the people of desires, they don't like refutations. Because what does refutations do? It exposes them, and it exposes what they're upon. It differentiates between sunnah, innovation, as well as desires and falsehoods that people try to introduce to the Muslims and propagate amongst them, unfortunately. And it destroys the common person, the common Muslim who doesn't know any better. He's just living his life, his or her life, trying to learn the religion. And you have callers, du'at, who unfortunately they do the people an injustice due to their own either misunderstandings or you know misguidance, deviancies, and things like that. So I remember having a conversation with someone about. Well, I talked to my children about this because I refute a lot, especially in the home. I refute a lot. I refute everything that's false. It's not just matters of minhaj, you know, matters of innovation and things like that, but even the disbelief of the kuffar or any ideologies that they have. I refute any corruption. I refute it. And refutations are in place, and every human being practices refutations in one form or another. And I want to tell you how. Human beings. Oh yeah. Before I continue, I want to recommend Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah's book, Principles of Love and Desires, and he covers some of these points as relates to humans and what they collaborate upon, what they cooperate upon, their covenants with each other, what they love and what they hate. And When people refute something, or they reject it or they warn against it, is due to something coming into their lives that is contrary to what they love. So with the kuffar or the people of desires or the people of innovation, if something comes to compromise their innovation, their desires, or their disbelief or their way of life, they're going to warn against it. They're going to fight against it. And that is a refutation. That's a refutation. It's in Ahl Sunnah, of course. Any foreign idea, any innovation or misguidance or belief, worship, or ill manners that threaten the Sunnah, those from Ahl Sunnah, those from Ahl Sunnah are going to refute. And that's even with the common Muslim. The common Muslim who knows things from the Quran, from, principles from the Quran, or from the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, like general principles, they learn to accept what the Prophet ﷺ said. If someone comes along and says, or puts a doubt out, and say, no, I disagree with the Prophet ﷺ, everyone is going to come against them. Like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? They're going to bring proofs and evidences against what the person is doing, based upon their level, based upon their knowledge. So every single person refutes. I don't know what happened with individuals. Maybe they don't understand, or they've compartmentalized the issue of refutations and only restricted it to the Salafis who, they just causing problems and they want to talk about the Muslims. No, the issue of refutation is far and wide. Every human being does it, and rightfully so. As far as those who are refuting to establish the truth and to eradicate falsehood, rightfully so. Rightfully so. You have a right to do so. And every Muslim does it from one level to another. It's just that those who are learned from the imams of the religion, who know the details of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and following the path of the companions and the first, the second two generations after them, which is the first three generations of Islam, they know the Sunnah in detail. They know the belief in detail. They know what the worship is in detail and the manners of Islam in detail. So anyone who comes along and calls to other than that, of course they have to refute it. They have to. Just like individuals who are in any particular field of work, whether that's the health field, whether it's industry, infrastructure of society and things like that, economy, whatever it is, if someone or something comes along to threaten those things, those specialists in who are responsible for overseeing these particular fields, they're going to refute and warn against the threat and even try to remove it. So religion is it not befitting, and religion more deserving, the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more deserving, that the specialists in those particular fields who understand Sunnah in detail, is it not befitting for them to single out and to focus on the cancers that arise? And what I mean by cancers is I'm talking about those individuals who pop up from the people of innovation and desires, who try to propagate false beliefs and practices and manahij, methodologies amongst the Muslims. Do they not have more of a right to refute these individuals, highlight their mistakes, and warn the people against them? Because after all, these are affairs of the hereafter, is it not? As far as your religion, your belief, and your practice was legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be followed in a particular way. No mistakes are allowed to be made when it comes to your belief, when it comes to your worship, and your manners. Manners, of course, are not defaulting on manners are not as bad as the belief and the worship, because your worship, of course, has to be in accordance with the Sharia. You can't have any innovation in it. And if someone comes along and corrects you, then that's khair, that's good. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the first thing He's going to ask you about on Yom Qiyamah is your prayer. One of the first things. So it needs to be corrected. Your prayer, your worship. Worship, of course, is not just the prayer. But worship is everything that Allah has legislated and is pleased with, and you make your intentions for Him and the actions. Of course, that's all of that is worship. But I mean, like, for example, the prayer. People who innovate in the prayer and doing things that are against the sunnah in the prayer. And, of course, the belief. Your belief has to be correct. What about the 10 things that nullify one's Islam? There are other nullifiers, of course. Believing that something is halal that is actually haram. Even if you do the action, but you believe that you don't have to do it, that's disbelief. That takes a person out of the fold of Islam. If you pray, but you don't believe that it is obligatory to pray, that person is a kafir. And along with all of the other sins or obligations that Allah has obligated upon us, if you believe that you don't have to do it, or you believe that that you can do it even though it's been prohibited, that's both of those are disbelief. It's disbelief. So, if, for example, a brain surgeon, he's in charge of surgery of the brain. He's supposed to fix whatever has gone wrong in the brain of the patient. If he makes one mistake, in the States, you get sued if there are any malpractices in any medical surgeries. You're going to get sued. The person is not going to forgive the surgeon. They're not going to pardon him. They're going to say, you should know. They want you to be precise. You must have precision in your practice. Same thing for heart surgery. Unless, of course, it was already some danger there and there was some risk, and the patient signs documents saying, okay, you are going to undergo this particular surgery. There are risks involved. If anything happens or goes wrong, then we're not responsible because this is a risky surgery. All surgeries are risky, but I'm just saying, in the United States, yeah, malpractice, you're going to get, the doctor is going to get sued. The surgeon is going to get sued, 100%. Just think about any parts of the body, eye surgery, of course it goes far because we have many parts of the body, of course, internal and external parts of the body. Just know that any malpractice will not be accepted or tolerated by anyone. So if a surgeon has to be precise, or a person who is in medicine, he has to be precise with prescribing medicine for the patient. And if he's wrong or he misdiagnosed, people are not forgiving of that. They warn against the individual. They oust him. They refute the individual. They expose them. All sorts of things they do, right? So how is it that's okay when it comes to the body of the human being? You don't want any mistakes made. It has to be on point, 100%. When it comes to food, in the food industry, If you find out there's poisons being put in the food, do they not refute and expose these individuals? Companies who are using harmful products that cause cancer, do they not? Of course they do. We see it all the time. But that's the time, the time we're living in is emphasis has been put on precision and everything else but religion. Religion is back burner. Religion is last place. Religion is up for interpretation. And I think the West is to blame for that. And of course, the people of innovation are to blame for that. 100%. Because what have they put in place of religion? Science, philosophy. That's what's first. That's what's in people's mind. Worldly matters, secular matters. That's what's first. And unfortunately, everyone has been affected by that. Before science, before philosophy was commonplace in the world, the people of innovation were the heads of trying to obliterate sunnah and make bid'ah uppermost in the land. But you all need to know that refutations are common amongst human beings. Everyone does it. Everyone does it. When it comes to money, if you find out that your bank has been stealing or mismanaging or whatever, you're going to move your money, right? You're going to warn people about them. Are you not? Of course you are. You want to say, don't bank with these people. They've done this, or this happened with my money. They didn't help me. It's going to make the news even. Those are refutations. Those are warnings. So for anyone who likes to claim like, oh, refutation, that's fitna, you know, we don't like that. These people, they're causing problems. Refutations are not restricted to the people of Sunnah, the people who ascribe the Salafiyah, and them refuting these different manahij. It's obligatory. It's commanding the good and forbidding the evil for those who can do it, for those who study. That is an obligation. You have to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, of course was translated to mean, that you are the best nation brought out from mankind because you command what is right and you forbid what is wrong and you believe in Allah. Refutations are a part of that, and they are an obligation. You can't see evil, you can't see innovation and then just let it ride. You can't. Or we will be destroyed. We will be destroyed. I remember it being said about individuals who back in Philly, it was individuals who said people who go to the Gulf, the Muslims, the brothers, when they go to the Gulf and they come back to visit the States, they get watered down, right? They've been watered down because they're not as strong in refutations anymore, and this, that, and the other. But the reality is, because Sunnah has been commonplace in this region of the world for centuries, it doesn't mean there's no mistakes being made here. No. But rather, innovation is subdued. Do you have individuals who are upon innovation in this region? Of course. But it's not commonplace where innovation is widespread. It's not. They're going to destabilize it. They're going to make sure that it doesn't spread. That's why they check your books. You know, that's why they keep an eye on what you're saying, what you're propagating. If you are a caller to Islam, they're keeping an eye on you. Those individuals who are upon deviation here, they try to keep it under wraps. They try to keep things very general because they can't openly call to Hizbiyah. They can't openly call to Sufiya or Ash'ariyah. They can't openly call to it. but they slip things in there. So that's when you need the specialists, those who know the affairs of each particular country. Who's upon what? That's where the Salafis come in. Because they watch these individuals closely. They watch who they accompany. They watch who they walk with, who they sit with, who they lecture with. It's not just fitna. Oh, the Salafis always saying something. Okay, well, we could say the same thing about everybody then. Oh, people are always complaining about, banking systems, and people are always complaining about malpractices in medical. It doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just be quiet about it already? Imagine that. Education. Education. Same thing. Imagine that. Oh, these children are being taught incorrectly. Oh, people are always complaining. Why does it matter? Just let people teach whatever they want to teach. If the person is teaching math incorrectly and the children are failing, who cares? Just imagine if people took that kind of position. Religion has more right. Islam has more right that you take precautions and you have precision in analyzing what people are saying and doing, what's coming at you, what you're listening to. Analyze the people's speech, absolutely. Analyze their practice, their methodology, the books that they're teaching from, the people who they are recommending, 100%. 100%. Does his mannerisms coincide with the minhaj of the Salaf when this person is teaching? Who are they sitting with? And another thing is that, back to the point about getting watered down here in the Gulf. No, it's just that falsehood is not widespread. So you don't have to be as shadid when it comes to, you're not fighting falsehood everywhere like you are in the West. So people in the West tend to be more, crass and harsh in certain areas because you're in a war zone. It relates to religion. You have falsehood coming at you from every angle, not from the people of innovation and from the people of disbelief. Every type of belief in evil is there in the West. Some countries are worse than others. America is a playground for Shaitan and all of his games and all of his cronies and beliefs and habits and everything. And then I think follows everyone else. I think America is the king, is the head. Anything goes. They don't care. So yes, people who come to regions like this, they're not bombarded with disbelief, innovations, and desires from all angles being called to it. They're not bombarded with that. So individuals can move on to the next levels of their lives if they got a stronghold on manhaj, in their belief, their aqidah. They can move on to other areas of their life and sharpen themselves and cultivate themselves on other areas of Islam. You're not stuck in a mode of constantly fighting and warning and fighting and warning. That will wear you down being in the West. That's another reason why you should leave that place. Because it gets tiring. You can't stay in one mode all the time, year after year. It's gonna wear you down because there's other areas that need to be developed. How can you ever develop manners when you're constantly in a war zone? You got your guard up 24/7 against certain things, and you keep hearing the same things over and over and over again. You have to graduate at some point and go to the next level of your Islamic growth. Not come here, get lackadaisical, and be like, oh, whew, that's over. We don't have to worry about that anymore. No, you still do, but it's just not as prominent. You shouldn't take your analytical glasses off when you come to the Gulf because you have people with desires everywhere. You can't just put your guard down and say, okay, I'm just gonna take from this person, that person, because it's safe in the Gulf. No, sir. No, you're mistaken. No, ma'am. You're mistaken. You still need to consult with those who know the affairs of the UAE. And the people of innovation and desires are the same no matter where you go. Any individuals who are saying, "Oh yeah, everyone here is on one hand," no, mashallah, there's no people of desires here, or lead these affairs alone, or that's the calam of the people of innovation. If you're hearing things like that, yeah, be suspicious. Be suspicious. We've heard those kind of statements over the years from back in the 90s. Whenever you ask some shayukh who have problems, they didn't get refuted yet, or the people in America, we weren't that privy or that knowledgeable about the minhaj in detail. But after seeing patterns, okay, they get the same responses. When you ask about certain individuals, oh, what about this issue? What about that issue? Oh, don't worry yourself with that. Busy yourself with knowledge. This is knowledge. It's a part of it. Don't leave that affair. Leave it. The difference between the people of desires and innovation and the people of sunnah, mashallah, the ulama of sunnah always give detail. That is a distinguishing sign of the people of sunnah. They give detail. They give clarity. They never leave you in the dark. Any affair you would like to understand is relates to the belief, the methodology, the manhaj. They're going to explain it to you. They're never going to keep you in the dark. Why do the people of innovation and desires want to keep you confused? So that they can continue to poison you. So that they won't be exposed. Just like I mentioned in that video I made about principles of deception. It's all from shaitan. Why do they want to keep you ignorant? It's for their own benefit, for status, or they just evil. You got shayateen, they're devils. They want followers. They love, what is it called? Za'ama. They love to be in a position of leadership. They want people to return their affairs back to them. They like the seat. So it's always a reason why people are deceiving you, why they don't want you to know something. And when sunnah is commonplace in a particular country like Saudi, and like I said here in the Gulf countries, that's commonplace. The people don't even know. The ignorant people don't even know or know to connect it that it's sunnah because they're ignorant. They haven't been studying the religion. But because sunnah has been in the region for so long, it's a part of their culture, even though they won't name it or recognize it as being sunnah. And the same goes for countries where innovation is prevalent. Bid'ah is commonplace. So, and sunnah is strange. Here in the Gulf, when you practice certain sunnah, they recognize it and they say, oh, that's traditional. The ignorant people, unfortunately, who they're trying to get away from tradition, that's exactly what they say. Oh, that's tradition. Like my son, he experienced that. Practicing certain things, the sunnah with his, some people he was hanging around from the Emiratis, they were like, oh, that's traditional. People trying to get away from tradition. Unfortunately, that's a musibah. Because they don't even recognize it as something vital to their, to their religion and upholding it. But what the most important thing is that what will stop troubling individuals who have a problem with refutation is that learn your foundational beliefs and learn the methodology tamaman so that you can look. Well, they say you have the worldview. You have the correct worldview. You'll look at every single thing that you come across, whether it is secular or religious, through the eyes of Islam. Allah will change your nazar. He will change the way you see things. It's not just restricted to religion. No, it encompasses Allah's religion and how you're supposed to look at things and handle things. It encompasses all areas of life. In your business, in your marriage, in your friendships, everything. Dealing with the non-Muslims, in your professions. Like Sheikh Rabi' Hafidhullah, he said, the Salafi in his methodology, you'll see Salafiyya even if he's teaching math, because it's a methodology in how you do everything. You start with the beginning affairs and then you work your way up to the more advanced affairs. It doesn't matter if you are building a house, you start from foundation on up to finish. There's a methodology. The most important affairs to the most to the slightest and smallest to the biggest. You understand? But yeah, back to the point about what we warn against. What about pedophiles? Do they not jeopardize society? What about abusers? Do they not jeopardize society? You know, women and children and things like that. We warn against these individuals, do we not? And we try to create methods and programs and information to help educate people to correct their affairs. So, the Manhaj Salafi is no different. It's no different. And, you know, that's pretty much what I have to say about it, just to help people who may be confused, who don't understand, who just think of religion as being light. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, from the major sins is thinking light of religion. It's not a big deal. Oh, it's just you think of it as small. No, religion is your whole entire life. Your mind should be 100% overtaken by Islam. Your belief and the methodology that was taught to us and shown to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and demonstrated by the companions in the first and the second generations, second two generations, second and third generations, excuse me. And that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. Anyone want to add anything in the comments? They're welcome, of course. People with desires and innovation, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome here. So, you confused about anything, don't forget the dua. That's another thing too. Don't depend on human beings alone. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. People have to be sincere. The reason why you're supposed to seek knowledge is to lift ignorance off yourself and to worship Allah alone, without partners. Worship Allah upon knowledge. That's the purpose of seeking knowledge. Not to be in the limelight. Not so people can say, oh, this person is a sheikh or sheikha, or, you know, to get followers or to be known. You're Muslim. That's sufficient. That's a great honor. No doubt. The people of knowledge, they have a tremendous task. They have a tremendous amana. But it's also dangerous because if you deviate, Allah musta'an. It's a tremendous punishment for that, because it's Allah's religion. You can't play with the deen of Allah. So you walk straight, or you have to face the consequences for not walking straight when you're in a position to teach the religion. So be sincere. Be sincere in learning, and do it for the purpose of wanting to be upon clarity and have a relationship with your Lord. Correct your affairs, correct your heart, disciplining your soul, and those matters. Staying away from the major sins, making tawbah if you fall into the minor sins, or even major sins. You know, may Allah protect us, but they happen. And that's what it is. And stay upon that until you meet Allah. That's what it is. Put it in your daily life. And don't be extreme. Ask Allah for guidance. Ask Allah for wisdom. Ask Allah for steadfastness. To keep your heart straight. You know? And, yeah, that's what I have to say. I appreciate y'all for listening and tuning in as always. And don't forget that Hijra Mandate sacrifice. I'll see you all in the next video, inshallah. Ma salama.